Hello, welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. I am Noel T. Manning II, joined by a guy I haven't seen in a while, Mr. Thomas Manning, the former regular co-host who now has been, relegated to reoccurring character. Is that what you are
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good sitcom equivalent for that, but I'm kind of like I think BJ Novak in The Office. At one point, he was a regular, but then they kind of sent him off somewhere. But then he kind of kept coming back. That's kind
Yeah,
of what I am right now.
yeah.
So
Well, we're glad you're back. No matter how often we get to spend time with you, Thomas, I really do appreciate it and enjoy it always. And today, especially, man, we're going to be celebrating roots music that explores everything from bluegrass to country music to folk music to Americana, kind of everything in between, in some form or fashion. And we're going to look at films that have those connections. I say films, but also TV series as well. And we're doing this in celebration of the Earl Scruggs Music Festival that takes place every Labor Day weekend. And you can find more information out about this year's festival by going to earlscruggsmusicfest.com. And that will be taking place Labor Day weekend at the Tryon Equestrian Center. And Thomas, you got media passes, so you're going to be able to explore a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And so we're glad you're going to be able to do that. And maybe you can ask some of these musicians about their favorite movies. Maybe we can get you send a camera with you, see what we can do.
yeah, we'll see what we can do. Get some eyewitness accounts and boots on the ground there. So yeah,
That's
it'll
it.
be a good time, and I'm very excited to celebrate the life and legacy of Earl Scruggs from right here and right down the road in Flint Hill, North Carolina. We're recording at our home studio in Boiling Springs, and so he's very much a hometown hero.
Yeah, yeah. Got a little memorabilia here from 1966. This is the Flat and Scruggs fan newsletter that they would send out from 1966, and just excited to share that with our audience. I might have to pull up some pictures. It's got look at that, and then Thomas is celebrating and celebrating Earl Scruggs as well with that. So
Yeah,
check
that's
out.
in celebration of his 100th birthday. This was from his 100th birthday celebration at the Ryman Auditorium. So
Yeah, and that was a pretty cool event that you got a chance to go be a part of and see as well. Let's dive in, Thomas, because we want to make sure we talk about some of these movies that have these themes of music that connects to this region in one way or another. I'll let you start it off, man.
yeah, absolutely. And well, I know there's one particular actor from the North Carolina area who has been in many projects that have those bluegrass, rootsy music feels, and that would be Mr. Andy Griffith. And I think there's one film in particular you wanted to mention. I'll let you get into that. I think that is a Face in the Crowd from 1957. Go ahead and give us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Facing the Crowd from 1957. You can actually find it now as part of the Criterion Connect collection on Blu-ray and DVD, if I can get that out there. But Andy Griffith stars as this drunk folk musician who unexpectedly gets this attention from radio, and then the media kind of likes his folksy style and how he kind of engages with the population, and it shows what can happen when politics and media find a celebrity figure and the impact that can have on politics, because within this film, the charisma of Andy Griffith's character, and his character is Larry Lonesome Rhodes is the name of his character, but his charisma really just attaches to people, connects with people, and you got politicians that want to be a part of that, including a presidential hopeful. So Facing the Crowd from 1957 with Andy Griffith. Really, this was an introduction to a lot of people to see him. And just a few years later, of course, just a short few years later, he had a TV series, Thomas, that really had a lot of connections to music and music infused with this region.
Yeah, the Andy Griffith Show, where he plays Sheriff Andy Taylor. Of course, you have Don Knotts in there as Barney Fife. You got Ron Howard as Opie. Just three, incredible household names in the film and television industry. We've seen Ron Howard go on to have a wonderful career as a director behind the camera, and that's really just the type of show that you can watch it at any time of the day with any crowd of people, and you can just sit down and just enjoy how wholesome and pure and honest and sincere it is. And that's a show that did have many bluegrass and rootsy musicians make appearances over the course of its many seasons of runtime over the airwaves. And and did take place in Mayberry, North Carolina, which was a fictional city, but which was inspired by the town of Mount Airy, North Carolina, and which I will mention. There was a documentary a few years ago in 2020. This is actually played at the Reel to Reel Film Festival in Kings Mountain. It's called The Mayberry Effect, and it explores the connection between the town of Mount Airy and the Andy Griffith Show, directed by Chris Hudson. And I actually had a great interview with Chris a few years ago around the release of that documentary. So, obviously can't say enough about the Andy Griffith Show and its legacy. And as we see, I guess it's probably 5 decades after it originally premiered, and we're still having many conversations about it.
Yeah, 1960, Thomas, was when that series launched, and it went for eight years, transitioned from black and white to color, and you talked about the music-infused episodes, so many of them. The Darlings, who we know had several episodes, the Kentucky Colonels, and Andy himself, of course, playing music on the show, and then James Best, who starred as Jim Lindsay. It was just, music was a huge part of the Andy Griffith Show, and so we definitely have to mention that because that roots music, that folk music, was so instrumental in that series. And I'm going to talk about one more TV show, Thomas, before we dive into some others, because this does have Earl Scruggs' influence without a doubt. Earl Scruggs, Lester Flatt, appeared in 7 episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies, and they starred as kind of musician friends of the Hillbillies. And the Beverly Hillbillies, that show ran from 1962 to 1971, 274 episodes, and the theme song was a Flatt and Scruggs theme song as well. So you got to mention the Beverly Hillbillies when you're talking about Earl Scruggs and celebrating the Earl Scruggs Music Fest.
Yeah, growing up, I probably heard that theme song more than any other song in my life, and that's just permanently imprinted on my brain because my father, who I'm not sure where he is right now, but he would sing that song to me basically as a lullaby every night, and from the time I was like 2, 3, 4 years old, I would hear that every night before going to sleep. And once again, Earl, he was with me the whole time.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, the Beverly Hillbillies, a great series that had a lot of fun, and it really did speak to the little guy getting it over on the guys with the money and the big city folk. All right, Thomas, what else is on your list as we dive into films inspired by, for us, the music of Earl Scruggs and the Earl Scruggs Music Festival?
Yeah, so I'll mention a movie that just came out within the past decade, but it takes place in the early 60s. This is Inside Llewyn Davis, the Coen brothers movie starring Oscar Isaac, and it's a film that's inspired by the autobiography of the folk musician Dave Van Ronk. And I think this film really captures just the melancholy and the loneliness of this Llewyn Davis character, who he's just completely and entirely broke, basically doesn't have a penny to his name. He's couch surfing, he's just trying to make a living, but he also engages in these self-destructive patterns, but explores all of these emotions and feelings through his beautifully written music. And actually, in the final scene, this takes place in the Chicago area, final scene of this movie, we have who was basically a young Bob Dylan appear. And it kind of marks the transition into this new era. And then, of course, we know what Bob Dylan has done in the many decades since. So yeah, Inside Llewyn Davis, that's a movie that I have a very deep appreciation for, and I listen to the soundtrack quite frequently. It's great to have on in the background when you're working on some writing, or that's a great soundtrack to fall asleep to as well. Yeah, really, really love Inside Llewyn Davis.
Yeah, and you talked about the Coen brothers, and I think probably before we wrap the show, we're going to talk about maybe another Coen brothers film. So that's kind of a coming attractions right here on Meet Me at the Movies. I want to talk about another one, and it seems like mine, I've got some connections to politics and music. Back in 1992, Thomas, there was a mockumentary that was truly a political satire done in a very unique way, and Tim Robbins starred as Bob Roberts. And Bob Roberts was this right-wing politician who was running for Senate, and but he was also well known for his folk music, and so he found a way to kind of combine those two, and he became this kind of folksy hero. Robbins actually directed this as well, and the cast in this film, you've got Susan Sarandon, you've got John Cusack, and also James Spader, among others, and it was just a really fascinating look at politics done in a way that almost harkened back to the social justice from the 1960s. So if you want to look at something just a little bit different, but something that I think is well worth diving into, check out Bob Roberts from 1992 with Tim Robbins.
Yeah, that's one that I have not had a chance to see yet, but it's definitely on my radar. And I didn't realize that Robbins had directed that one as well. So that definitely piques my interest. And that is really is interesting how, politics and pop culture do. There is that just, cosmic entanglement there in a way. And they're always going to be combined in one way or another. And it sounds like a great film that explores that.
Yeah, it really is. And Tim Robbins also did another film around the same time called The Player, and it was a really interesting look at Hollywood. And Robbins was definitely on a roll. And actually, I think The Player was released that same year in 1992. I may have that incorrect, but it wasn't 1992. So he had two satires that were released the same year. So Tim Robbins was definitely on fire. That was a Robert Altman film, The Player, from 1992. Well, Thomas, we're going to take a quick break. Anything else you want to make sure you add before we dive in, or want to go ahead and take a break and come back with more?
Yeah, we can go and take a break. I will mention it sounds like 1992 was a great year for movies. There's another special movie from that year as well, with some North Carolina connections. Goes by the title of Last of the Mohicans, so I thought I'd just mention that one as well.
Yeah, and there was some rootsy music in there. There was Celtic flavored music in there. So yeah, there's some banjos, not banjos, but fiddles. There were some fiddles in there. So yeah, that's right. Well, thanks for watching Meet Me at the Movies. Noel T. Manning II here with Thomas Manning, and we are exploring films that connect to music, especially music that is inspired by the Earl Scruggs Music Festival that you can find on Labor Day weekend every year at the Tryon Equestrian Center. Go to that website, earlscruggsmusicfest.com, for more information about this year's lineup. We're going to take a quick intermission. We're going to come back with more on Meet Me at the Movies. Stick around.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a
Hey, I'm David Allen, back as Armchair Quarterback host.
I'm Guy Suttle from C19 TV Sports.
And I'm Rob Roop from KTCBroadcasting.com.
What's in store on the gridiron? Each week we look at all 4 Cleveland County High School football teams, Burns, Crest, Kings Mountain, and Shelby. We will look at what happened the week before and look ahead at what's coming up this week.
And we'll also discuss ACC, SEC, and Gardner-Webb college football.
And of course, the NFL and those Carolina Panthers.
So don't miss another great season of football right here on Armchair Quarterback on C19 TV and online at c19.tv.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
We really do appreciate everybody who takes the time to be with us right here on Meet Me at the Movies, no matter how you choose to do it. We thank you. We have a lot of fun, and we hope that you get a little something out of this as well. We are exploring films that have some kind of connection to music, and especially music that you may find at the Earl Scruggs Music Festival. And Thomas, I'm going to send it to you since I took us to the break talking about Bob Roberts. What else is on your list that you want to make sure you cover as we explore music, especially roots music, right here on Meet Me at the Movies?
Looking to the film from 1984, songwriter, loosely based on the life and times of Willie Nelson. It also stars Chris Christopherson, and this is directed by Alan Rudolph and produced by Sidney Pollack. Also features original music from Nelson and Christopherson, and it basically looks at the business side of music and some of the troubles and pitfalls that can be found there. And and I think, Noel, this is a film that you've seen quite a few times. Anything you want to speak to from your perspective?
I just think it's one of those films that people forget about, and Willie Nelson did quite a few films, was involved in quite a few films, and most people, just think about him as this timeless musician that just kind of keeps on ticking, and he's a legend for sure, but he's been in films, and so I encourage you to go back and look at some of his films, including, Thomas, with one of your favorite filmmakers and somebody I got a chance to get fired from when I was an intern.
Yeah, well, we briefly alluded to Last of the Mohicans, directed by Michael Mann. Michael Mann's directorial debut in 1981 was Thief, starring James Caan. Takes place right in the middle of Chicago and in the thievery world there. So not a lot of influence directly from bluegrass or folk music. However, Willie Nelson himself does have a supporting role in it, and he's someone that you wouldn't necessarily expect him to pop up in a Michael Mann movie like this, but he does, and I think he gives a pretty solid performance. So that was just a few years prior to the songwriter, actually, and I remember the first time I watched Thief, you're like, that's Willie Nelson. By George, there he is.
Well, we are talking music and music influenced by the Earl Scruggs Music Festival right here on Meet Me at the Movies. And I want to talk about a reel-to-reel film festival selection, Thomas, from 2007. The movie is called Crazy, and it is based on the life story of a Cowpens, South Carolina native by the name of Hank Garland. And Hank Garland was this American guitarist. He was a songwriter, and he worked with incredible legends, and you're probably going to know about some of these names, and he really started working with them in the 1950s. People like Elvis Presley, Patsy Cline, the Everly Brothers, Roy Orbison, and so many others. And this particular movie really looks at kind of the dark side of what can happen when success, when you get too successful for your own good. But Crazy is just a really solid film, and I'm glad that we got to screen it at the Reel to Reel Film Fest back in 2007.
And there is a musician who's going to be popping up many times throughout these conversations whenever you have them. That is, once again, Bob Dylan. And there's one of the greatest American filmmakers of all time, Martin Scorsese, has a very unique interest in Dylan. He's made multiple documentaries about him. In 2005, he had No Direction Home, which was a 3.5 hour documentary focusing on a 5-year period of Dylan's career and life from 61 to 66. And then in 2019, Scorsese also had a Rolling Thunder review, which combines both fictional and non-fictional material, looking at Dylan's 1975 Rolling Thunder Review concert tour. And I think Scorsese and Bob Dylan are a match made in heaven, and just with what they explore in their art and just exploring all sides of American life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so those two documentaries, you can find those on streaming, and I think those are important documents of this icon in music history.
Yeah, and Scorsese just has this incredible love of music, and he's done several documentaries connected to music. And you're right, his Bob Dylan docs are just amazing. And I want to mention a Bob Dylan related film, inspired film, since we're on the Bob Dylan kick here. This is not the Timothy Chalamet film from 2024, which is definitely well worth checking out just because it's Timothy Chalamet. What is it? Christian Jessup said he's like the prettiest person in the world. Is that what Christian Jessup said? Something like that?
It's something along those lines, and I would tend to agree with that statement. So.
But there was a film in 2007 from director Todd Haynes, who did this really unique biopic on the life of Dylan using 6 different actors playing that legend, and that was called I'm Not Here. So I just wanted to mention that since you were talking about Bob Dylan and the Scorsese documentary.
Yeah, that's one that I've heard of and haven't seen, but Todd Haynes, great director. Last year his film May December with Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore was one of my favorites. And so yeah, absolutely, that's one that I need to put on my radar to check out.
All right, man, what else is on your list, Thomas?
Yeah. Well, there's a pair of films here with the Bridges brothers, Jeff Bridges and Beau Bridges. In 2009, the Jeff Bridges film Crazy Heart. This is about a down-and-out country artist and his relationship with this journalist that he encounters that kind of inspires a new path forward in his life and in his connection to music. And then also in 2024, his brother Beau Bridges appeared in the film The Neon Highway, which also deals with just basically a country artist who is at that point in his career where he's trying to figure out where he's going next, and is his career over, or is there potentially a new life? Is there another path forward there? You actually, I know, interviewed Beau Bridges about this film and had a good conversation with him, and I think you asked a question about, hey, did you talk to your brother about this role at all? That kind of thing.
Yeah, it was really kind of cool, and I'm glad you mentioned Neon Highway, because Crazy Heart was definitely on my list. I loved that film with Jeff, and the music was just amazing. Some of the artists on that, Ryan Bingham, who had a lot of love with a song that he had from Crazy Heart, but the Louvin Brothers, even actors Robert Duvall and Jeff Bridges both, and Colin Farrell sang in that as well. But Townes Van Zandt, who is no stranger to Americana music, was in Crazy Heart. But yeah, Crazy Heart and Neon Highway, great double feature, so I'm glad you brought those together. But yeah, it was great talking to Beau about that for sure. Neon Highway and Crazy Heart. Well, I'm going to throw this one out, Thomas. I know that we've got to mention this. We've already teased it, but don't want to let us wrap this show without talking about Old Brother, Where Art Thou from 2000. I cannot believe that was in 2000 that movie was released. But talk about country and folk musicians and bluegrass musicians who show up in this, roots musicians that show up, and really it did this re-energized bluegrass on a mainstream level. and folks like John Hartford, Allison Krauss, Dan Kaminsky, Emmylou Harris, Gillian Welch, Ralph Stanley, and Patty Loveless and others showed up in this soundtrack. And it was just a goofy, fun film, but the music, without the music, this film would not be as solid as it is for sure, even though the cast was incredible. But Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, the music drove this film, Thomas.
Yeah, and I think that film brought bluegrass to an entirely new audience who wouldn't necessarily go out of their way to engage with that music because they might have had some preconceived notions of what it was. But then this film from the Coen brothers really opened their eyes to the power that is there, and I guess in certain ways made them say, wait, hold up, there's definitely something here, and something that is very special, and something that's very beautiful and very important to really American art in general.
Absolutely. Well, Thomas, we are just about out of time, and we've got a list of about 20 more films that we could talk about that were inspired by, for us, the Earl Scruggs Music Festival. Is there one more you want to make sure you mention before we wrap? Maybe one that actually uses the music of Flatt and Scruggs from 1967, possibly?
Yeah, I think if you use that criteria, we would be talking about Bonnie and Clyde, the Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway film. It uses Foggy Mountain Breakdown. And this film won a couple of Oscars and is preserved by the Library of Congress as an important artifact in artistic history. And but yeah, Foggy Mountain Breakdown, just one of the best bluegrass tracks of all time, and was heavily right in the thick of this film.
Absolutely. Well, we do appreciate everybody spending time with us right here on Meet Me at the Movies, a special celebrating the music that's inspired by our movies that we were inspired because we were thinking about the music of the Earl Scruggs Music Festival. I'll get it out there. Labor Day weekend every year at the Tryon Equestrian Center. You can check out the lineup, EarlScruggsMusicFest.com. We do appreciate you spending time with us, and maybe Thomas can bring back some thoughts from some of the musicians and people he gets a chance to talk to, get some of their favorite films right here on Meet Me at the Movies next time we get together. So until next time, for Thomas Manning, I'm Noel T. Manning II, and for the entire cast and crew, for this week, that is a wrap.
Many films to view until we meet again. Next time we see you, we'll gladly fill you in. We'll tell about the happy and the sad ones. We'll talk about the good ones and the bad ones. Many films to view till we meet again.